the start of this month, former WWE writer Vince Russo began mocking WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H by dubbing him the King of Pops. The quip, a play on Michael Jackson's King of Pop title, was used by Russo on social media and his podcast to criticise Hunter's booking style. Russo implied that Triple H's creative focus was eliciting big crowd reactions, pops, and surprise moments, rather than coherent storytelling. For example, on his podcast Coach and Bro with Jonathan Coachman, Russo joked, "Michael Jackson is rolling over in his grave because Triple H has officially taken over the moniker the King of Pops. Going forward, that's what we'll refer to Triple H as. He's a one-trick pony when it comes to booking." He explained that Triple H was only booking for those pops from the crowd, effectively making him dependent on short-term fan excitement. On X, formerly known as Twitter, September 6th, Russo tweeted a variant of the gag while comparing Triple H to AEW's Tony Khan. He announced, "From this point going forward, Triple H's new moniker will be the King of Pops. You take away his pop card and he ain't got nothing over Tony Khan creatively." Here Russo joked that without the ability to generate crowd pops, his pop card, Triple H has nothing of creative value. This tweet directly dubbed Triple H King of Pops and contrasted him with Tony Khan. On a YouTube livestream video around September 12th, Vince Russo made a light-hearted apology on his own channel. He mockingly apologised to the King of Pops, Triple H, Hulk Hogan, Superstar Billy Graham, Macho Man, The Rock, Steve Austin, The Undertaker, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn. Who sees this? One man, the King of Pops. And to you, King of Pops, I apologise. It's all been a facade. The King of Pops is obviously a sarcastic pun. Triple H's established moniker is the King of Kings, and Michael Jackson was known as the King of Pop. Russo combined these to imply that Hunter's only kingly quality is inducing pop moments. In context, a pop is a wrestling slang for a loud crowd reaction, gasping at surprise. Russo accused Triple H of being a one-trick pony who books for these pops rather than doing long-term storytelling. For example, after a high-profile return like AJ Lee, Russo argued that the creative team merely delivered a pop without any meaningful booking. But Vince Russo's comments on Triple H being known as now the King of Pops quickly caught the attention of the wrestling veterans Konnan and Disco Inferno on their Keeping It 100 podcast. And let me tell you, they weren't having it. Disco Inferno immediately jumped to Triple H's defence, highlighting a fundamental truth of the wrestling business. It's incredibly hard to get those massive, genuine crowd reactions. It's not just something you can conjure up. And Konnan laid it out even clearer. For him, and for many, you absolutely can't discount the pops. He argued, if you're producing television and the ratings are sold out, and the crowds have big pops, what are you doing wrong? And that's where the heart of the debate lies. For Konnan and Disco, the overwhelming, undeniable reaction from a sold-out arena is the ultimate, irrefutable grade on your creative direction. If the fans are loud, engaged, and buying tickets, then your booking is hitting the mark. They see Russo's dismissal of those pops as fundamentally misunderstanding the business. You want proof of the pops' power? Forget the modern era for a second. Think about the peak of the Monday Night Wars. Think about the Attitude Era. There's no purer example of a storyline hitting its absolute peak than the sound of the shattering glass, followed by the opening riff of Stone Cold Steve Austin's music. That wasn't just a theme song, that was a guaranteed explosion of sound and emotion from the crowd. That pop didn't just sell an angle, it sold a show, it sold tickets, it sold pay-per-views. The pop proved, in an instant, that the booking was working. The crowd reaction was the metric, the quarterly report, and the main event all rolled into one. When that glass shattered, it meant you were about to make money. So when Vince Russo, a man who worked directly under that system, dismisses the crowd pop as a cheap trick, Disco and Konnan see it as a complete misreading of wrestling history itself. They see Triple H continuing a legacy, not committing a creative crime. Now, to give my take on this, guys, when it comes to the stuff with Vince Russo being critical of Triple H and his booking style and jokingly calling him the King of Pops, I can actually understand a lot of where Russo's coming from with this. Like him saying that, I guess, that Triple H, you know, to overcompensate for the lack of quality with the you know, the storylines, that all this, you know, like this long-term booking, seeing the bigger picture, and when you're maybe just wanting to rely on a big moment at the end of the show, with like a big pop, someone coming out to make a save, so it could be someone you wanted to hear the big pop for, like a Rhea Ripley or a Dominic or a Liv Morgan or a CM Punk, a Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, whoever. I can understand where he's coming from in that respect, yes. Being critical of Triple H, I mean, there's a lot of things you can be critical of Triple H about. You know, Triple H with, you know, him being at the helm, and, you know, with this Unreal show that came out, and Triple H saying that, hey, I was the brains behind the John Cena heel turn. It was my idea to have Cena turn heel. Well, when we look at how that's panned out, a lot of people would say that it was a failure. You know, even maybe Cena would say it was a failure. I think he had said the first heel promo he cut was a failure. I don't think he said that overall the heel run was a failure in itself. But to a lot of people, that this storyline, it didn't deliver at the end, and it wasn't a good payoff. And yeah, you could maybe say that, you know, the whole thing of him turning bad and then realizing that the good that he was and that he is good, there was a story to tell there, the psychology. But in the end, I just don't think the way that it was done, turning him back as a babyface, the SmackDown before SummerSlam out of nowhere, was like, you know, the way, you know, the way to go about it. And with Triple H being the guy that's meant to be leading things, running the ship, and he puts out there, he wants you to know that he's there on the end credits as an executive producer, he's got to take a lot of the responsibility. He has to take a lot of the stick. And when this isn't working, when, you know, the whole thing with the final boss and that whole thing was Cody, I want your soul, and then there was no payoff there. You had Travis Scott, no one cared about him coming out at the end of, you know, the WrestleMania main event. So that these are a lot of things that are on Triple H. And yeah, if Triple H is going to, you know, resort to these, oh, you know, because we know these people are cheered and over, that, you know, if we have them do a running out at the end when the music hits, they're going to get a pop, and then all is well. So yeah, I mean, Russo being critical on Triple H with that, and kind of like ridiculing him about that, the King of Pops thing, that's all fun. It's all fine and dandy. I don't have a problem with that. But there is a part of me that kind of thinks, well, Russo being critical about how they're going to use these moments where there'll be a big pop from the crowd. Well, isn't that what it's about in the end? That thing of when you're a wrestling fan, it's that thing of someone you're looking forward to seeing coming out, and there's that big moment, there's that rush, there's that big thing of that excitement. I mean, pops go back years and years. I mean, when you get a huge pop, isn't it referred to as the Road Warrior pop, I believe? That's the term in the wrestling business for a huge pop. But you know, when you, like I was saying earlier, it's like that thing of like when Stone Cold's music hit, the glass shattered and everyone like the best example would probably be when he did that run-in on the match with The Rock and Mankind, when Mankind won the belt, and, you know, he came out and nailed Rock with a chair. Those are those great moments. But yeah, if all you've got is pops, and you haven't actually got any quality storylines or angles or things that have a proper payoff in the end, I can definitely understand why Russo would be critical of the with Triple H's booking style, booking philosophy, whatever you want to call it. So is it a fair moniker to call him in kind of like a ridiculing way, the King of Pops? Yeah, I suppose it is fair in some respect. Maybe one day, you know, in a promo on Raw, Triple H will kind of make reference to it. Maybe he'll say something about Russo being on a pissant podcast. I don't know, but it would be funny to see if Triple H would bite and say something. Maybe he'll say something in an interview, maybe one day. But I can understand definitely where Vince Russo is coming from on this, when it comes to calling Triple H as the King of Pops. I get that, and I understand that, because the product, people have said it's digressed. You know, the quality has gone down, and there's nothing much that keeps me watching that I've got to check and look at things, and even look at clips for that matter. So I think Russo definitely has it right when he calls Triple H the King of Pops. No, for sure. And that's just my thoughts, guys, but please, you know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of Vince Russo's comments with Triple H calling him the King of Pops. But you want to check out my last video I did with Vince Russo. I said it's called Vince Russo's Shtick. Is it genius? You know, the bro shtick. Click on the top left there and check out my last video I did. It's about Vince Russo. But that is me for now, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.